Rise and grind. Is Hennessy the best cognac there is? Let's get into the list. Here at Rise and Grind, we equip you with everything that you need to know. We share with you whiskeys, cognacs, wine, cigars, fragrance. We also share with you wealth building tips. And on this episode, we want to talk about cognac. Now, I am a great whiskey lover, but every now and again, I like to have me some cognac. It's a great pour to have after a big meal. It tends to be lower in proof. And so on a hot day, a glass of cognac fits the bill. Some of the differences between cognac and whiskey. Cognac is made from fermented grapes, whereas whiskey comes from grains such as rye, wheat, corn, barley. Cognac only comes from white grapes, and these grapes are grown in a very specific region of France. These grapes are fermented and they are aged. They have to be aged in French oak barrels. And so just like whiskey has to be aged in American oak barrels, cognac has to be aged in French oak barrels. Some of the other differences: cognac has certain designators that indicates how old it is. You have first VS, which indicates that it's been aged for at least 2 years. Then there's VSOP, which means it's been aged for 4 years. Then there's XO, which indicates it's been aged for at least 6 years. And then after that, it gets a little gray. You've got Napoleon, Blue, Accord. You've got some different designators, but the main ones that are actually regulated is VS, VSOP, and XO. And with today's video, we are going to be looking at the best selling cognac there is. We're looking at Hennessy. We're going to take you down the line of Hennessy, looking at all the different offerings that they have. Hennessy is the first cognac to get the designator of VSOP. And so this spirit goes back centuries. This is the best selling spirit. At this point, it's probably one of the more popular spirit. And so we want to engage and discover, is this the best cognac? And the first Hennessy that we're going to look at is the VS. And so this is Hennessy that's been aged for 2 years. Hennessy, cognac, it all starts as a white color because it's coming from white grapes. And those grapes are placed in these French oak barrels, and in time, the color starts to pick up the coloring of the barrel. And so the longer it stays in the barrel, the darker the color is going to be. And so after about 2 years, we have the VS product. Now, truth be told, I don't drink VS. There are only certain cognacs, such as Hein, that puts out a very good product, where the VS is even approachable. VS is typically for mixing. The majority of cognac that's sold is for cocktails. And so with the Hennessy VS, this is primarily for mixing. I wouldn't drink this by itself. I wouldn't even put an ice cube in it. I wouldn't have this accompany a cigar. VS is for mixing cocktails. Now the Hennessy VS, you get this, it's young, so that it's a bit abrasive. Even though it's only 40% ABV, it's young. And so it's got a lot of sharp edges. There is some floral notes, but it's harsh. You do get some hints of vanilla, but again, at only 2 years of aging, you don't get enough depth and complexity and viscosity and balance. And so the Hennessy VS, you can find this at most grocery stores, liquor stores, pharmacies, goes for about $30. It's a great mixer. And so the next Hennessy that we're gonna look at is Hennessy White. Now, I've shared with you the age designator. After 2 years, you can identify your cognac as being a VS. Well, if it's not 2 years, you can't call it a VS. And that is exactly what we have with Hennessy White. The reason why it's still white or a lighter color is because it has not been aged in the barrels. I believe the reason why it wasn't previously sold on the American market is because Hennessy realized that Americans, based upon their whiskey, prefer something that's more aged, something that's spent some time in a barrel. Most whiskeys are about 4 to 8 years aged. And so Americans are going for that oaky taste. And what I believe Hennessy realized is that with their Hennessy White, it was so young, so unaged, so undeveloped. And as a result, they didn't even bother selling it in the American market. And because they didn't sell it in the American market, that created a market. And so we had people going to the Caribbean, going to Mexico, going to Europe, because they couldn't get it in the American market. That drove up the demand. And so because Americans, if we can't get something, then we really want it. We saw this with Cuban cigars. If you deny us from getting something, it increases the demand. And so Hennessy White, for a long time, it wasn't sold in America. And as a result, Americans wanted it badly. And so we all on cruise ships and Caribbean trips and Mexico trips were spending a lot of money on a product that has no age. And so Hennessy White, now it's being sold in America, and it's being sold for $100. This is a product that has not been aged for at least 2 years. And so I talked about Hennessy VS in that it has not developed. It's still a bit harsh. Now, there are some people who say they like the taste of Hennessy White. That could suggest that you don't like the oaky notes and profile that comes from being in the barrel. But it has not been aged. It's a very young product. So yes, you get those floral notes. You still get some hints of vanilla. But the Hennessy White, in my opinion, is actually worse than the Hennessy VS. And so I would not spend more than $50 on it. I definitely wouldn't spend $100 on it. And truth be told, I would only use it in making cocktails. And so Hennessy White is now being sold on the American market. You can find it at Bevmo and Total Wines. You don't have to smuggle it from Mexico anymore. Hennessy White is now available in America. We hope that you are enjoying this content. If you like this video, check out a video that we did called Cognac versus Whiskey. Please help this community to grow. Comment, hit like, engage with this video. This is more than just a channel, but this is a community of men, women, people who are passionate about our spirits, about our cigars, about the things that we spend our time doing. Join this community. Now, when it comes to the Hennessy that I actually drink, VS for cocktails, Hennessy White, I simply avoid altogether. XO, we're gonna get to that. But a great starting point is the Hennessy VSOP. And so this is a product that's been aged for at least 4 years. This is well developed. And so you can look at the color of this. You can see that it's not white and it's a lot darker than the VS. That's because of the time spent in the barrel. And that time spent in the barrel, it picks up a lot of notes, a lot of flavors. It develops, it balances. For me, I get so much cloves, almost like a black licorice. This to me is such a pleasant sipper. I can enjoy this with a cigar. Great after dinner beverage. Hennessy VSOP. You can find this for about $50 to $60. This to me is one of the best values in cognac. To have a product that is so flavorful, so rounded, so balanced. This is a great product, Hennessy VSOP. And the cognac that I think is by far one of the best cognacs there is. We've got the Hennessy XO. And so this is a product that's aged for at least 6 years. What I get from this is the complexity increases so much. That extra 2 years pretty much doubles the flavor, doubles the balance, doubles the enjoyability. With the VSOP, we got that licorice, that clove taste, that extra years in the barrel. Now you're gonna get some more chocolate. You're gonna get some more candied fruit. You get these notes. And so the Hennessy XO, this is something I would chase for. This is something that I would compare with any high grade, high valued whiskey. This is something that I would chase after. Hennessy XO. To me, this is by far one of the best cognacs there is. We hope that you have enjoyed this video where we just wanted to share with you cognacs from the house of Hennessy. Please watch some of our other videos. Please engage with this video. Leave in a comment. Are you a Hennessy fan? Will you be chasing after Hennessy White? What are some of the other cognacs that you enjoy? Leave a comment, hit the like button, subscribe and join this community. But most importantly, rise and grind.